Imagine the American Revolution wasn't just a battle of muskets and declarations, but a puzzle with secret pieces hidden in plain sight. What if 7 key moments overlooked, misinterpreted, or purposely buried change how we think about the founding of the United States? These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented truths from the people who were actually there. Hey everyone, I'm Shadowed Past. Today, we're diving into American Revolution Diaries. 7 hidden secrets revealed. In the next 15 minutes, you'll learn surprising facts, pulled straight from letters, journals, and diaries of people who lived through those years. We're talking about real handwritten accounts from soldiers, shopkeepers, wives, and even children who witnessed history unfold. These secrets will change what you thought you knew about the revolution's causes, strategies, and consequences. Stick around, some of these are jaw-droppers that never made it into your textbooks. Let's jump in. I'll reveal each secret, show you the primary source evidence, explain why historians missed it for so long, and tell you what it means for us today. Ready? Let's uncover the first secret. Secret 1. Spies in everyday clothing. The typical image of revolutionary spies is exotic figures slipping notes under doors at midnight, wearing dark cloaks and speaking in codes. But diaries show many spies were ordinary tradespeople. Tailors, coopers, barrel makers, and peddlers. In one tailor's diary from 1776, preserved at the New York Historical Society, he records mending British uniforms and casually passing along troop movements in the margins of his ledger. He wrote things like 6 buttons replaced, colonel's coat followed by regiment moving south Tuesday. Why did this happen? Tradespeople traveled regularly between towns, had clients in both Patriot and Loyalist camps, and were considered completely non-threatening by military authorities. That meant intelligence networks were literally woven into the fabric of daily life. A blacksmith shoeing horses could count cavalry units. A baker delivering bread could observe fortification construction. These people weren't trained spies, they were survival entrepreneurs who realized information had value. Pattern interrupt. Did you ever suspect your shoemaker of being an undercover agent? Seriously, think about it. Drop a comment if you'd trust a tailor with state secrets, because that's exactly what happened throughout the colonies. Secret 2. Desertions driven by economy, not ideology. We often assume soldiers left the Continental Army because they changed their political beliefs or lost faith in the cause of independence. The romantic narrative suggests deserters were cowards or turncoats, but diaries reveal a completely different story. Unpaid wages ruined families back home, and outright famine pushed thousands to desert. A Connecticut militia diary, now housed at Yale's Beinecke Library, lists entries like no bread at home, Tom gone to fetch corn and wife sick, children hungry, must return far more frequently, and any political manifestos or ideological statements. One soldier wrote, "I believe in liberty, but my children believe in needing." That brutal honesty tells us the revolution's manpower depended heavily on economic stability and logistical support, not just patriotic fervor or political conviction. General Washington himself acknowledged this crisis in private correspondence, noting that men couldn't be expected to fight when their families were starving. The Continental Congress's failure to properly fund and supply the army created a constant hemorrhaging of soldiers. Some historians estimate that more men left due to economic desperation than were lost in battle. Quick question to viewers: would you fight for an unpaid cause while your family went hungry? Say yes or no in the comments. It's easy to judge from our comfortable position centuries later, but put yourself in their worn-out shoes. Secret 3. Women as tactical commanders. Women appear in traditional histories primarily as supporters sewing flags, providing meals, maybe nursing the wounded, but diaries expose genuine tactical roles that would make modern intelligence officers impressed. One Albany merchant's wife, whose diary fragments survive at the Massachusetts Historical Society, organized intelligence runs, disguised military supplies as laundry and household goods, and personally coordinated escape routes for wounded soldiers through enemy territory. These acts were extraordinarily risky and strategically significant. She wrote about timing supply runs to coincide with British patrol schedules, using her status as a harmless woman to move freely through checkpoints. One entry describes hiding coded messages inside loaves of bread she claimed were for a sick aunt. Another details how she organized a network of women who used quilting circles as cover for planning operations. When we center diaries and letters from women, the entire narrative shifts dramatically. Women were active military participants operating behind the scenes, making tactical decisions that affected campaign outcomes. This fundamentally changes how we should teach military history and gives credit where it's been denied for far too long. These weren't just supportive wives, they were operational commanders running their own networks. Secret 4. The role of smallpox and medical journals. Smallpox devastated both armies throughout the war, but medical journals and surgeons' notes show how inoculation policies became intense moral and strategic flashpoints that divided commanders and troops alike. Washington's controversial decision to inoculate the Continental Army in 1777 came directly from field surgeon recommendations recorded in personal logs and medical diaries. Dr. William Shippen's journal, now digitized at the National Library of Medicine, documents the agonizing calculations. Inoculation meant deliberately infecting healthy soldiers with a mild form of smallpox, which required them to be quarantined for weeks while they recovered. This pulled thousands of men out of active service simultaneously. But the alternative was worse. Natural smallpox infection was killing entire regiments and leaving survivors too weakened to fight. These medical choices affected campaign timings and troop movements more directly in many actual battles. Washington delayed major operations specifically to allow for inoculation schedules. British commanders, aware of this vulnerability, sometimes planned attacks to coincide with American inoculation periods. Visual cue. Imagine a military campaign delayed not by enemy troops or weather, but by an inoculation schedule. That's biological warfare meeting preventive medicine in real time. The ethical debates were fierce. Some soldiers refused inoculation on religious grounds. Others saw it as a patriotic duty. Medical diaries capture these tensions in raw, unfiltered language that formal military reports sanitized completely. Which secret so far surprised you most? Type the number below and explain why in the comments. I read every single comment and will respond to the most interesting ones. Also, if you're enjoying this deep dive into primary sources, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the follow-up episodes. Secret 5. The Loyalist Patriot family rift wasn't just political. History textbooks present the Loyalist Patriot divide as purely ideological. You either believed in independence or you supported the crown. But diaries reveal family splits were often fundamentally about land disputes, inheritance battles, and long-simmering local feuds as much as political sympathy. In a Virginia diary preserved at the Library of Virginia, two brothers argue over a boundary line for years before the Revolution even started. Their dispute involved a creek, some timber rights, and wounded pride. When the Revolution came, their factional loyalties perfectly matched their land dispute. The older brother who claimed the contested land became a loyalist, while the younger brother who disputed his claim became a fervent patriot. This pattern repeats across dozens of diaries. A father and son in North Carolina split over a business debt. Cousins in Pennsylvania divided over a broken engagement and then conveniently chose opposite sides when fighting erupted. That suggests local grievances, personal animosities, and economic conflicts dramatically amplified national politics and gave them explosive local expression. This helps explain why some communities experience brutal neighbor-on-neighbor violence that went far beyond military necessity. When you combine political division with personal grudges and property disputes, you get a toxic mixture that turned the revolution into something resembling a civil war in many regions. These weren't just political differences, they were personal vendettas wrapped in patriotic rhetoric. Secret 6. Early American propaganda was sophisticated. We think of Revolutionary-era propaganda as newspapers and pamphlets like Common Sense, printed materials distributed through official channels. The personal letters and diary entries were also deliberately used to spread pro- or anti-British narratives through informal networks that reach far more people than printed materials ever could. Soldiers and civilians copied sensational stories into their diaries with the explicit purpose of reading them aloud at taverns, churches, and town meetings, spreading rumors and atrocity stories faster than official broadsides could be printed and distributed. One diary from a Connecticut farmer shows a false story about supposed British atrocities, British soldiers allegedly bayoneting children traveling through 3 towns in just 1 week, gaining dramatic embellishments with each retelling. The diarist himself noted which details he added to make it more affecting to the listeners. This wasn't accidental or naive, it was calculated information warfare. People understood they were shaping public opinion through controlled storytelling. Some diary entries even include notes like "told the story at meeting," "strong effect," or "must remember to emphasize the suffering of the innocent." The takeaway: sophisticated information warfare existed then, and it was grassroots, viral, and devastatingly effective. The methods would be familiar to anyone who understands modern social media: manipulation, emotional stories, personal testimonies, strategic amplification, and complete disregard for factual accuracy, and the narrative served a political purpose. Secret 7. Native American diplomacy was central, not peripheral. Many standard histories relegate Native American involvement to footnotes or brief mentions, but diaries from traders, frontier settlers, and military officers show continuous diplomatic negotiations, shifting alliances, and tactical coordination that were absolutely central to the war's outcome in many regions. The Oneida Nation's support for the Patriots, documented in council meeting records and trader diaries, provided crucial intelligence about British movements from Canada. Conversely, Mohawk alliances with the British, detailed in Johnson family papers, created strategic corridors and supply lines. These weren't passive players or simple victims, they were sophisticated diplomatic actors making calculated strategic choices. Some tribes negotiated skillfully to preserve trade routes and maintain autonomy, regardless of who won. Others made strategic choices to protect their lands from encroaching settlement, sometimes switching sides when circumstances changed. Joseph Brandt's diary and correspondence, available in several archives, reveals complex multi-party negotiations involving British officers, American representatives, and various tribal councils simultaneously. Recognizing these primary accounts reframes the revolution as a genuinely multi-party conflict, not simply colonists versus Britain. It was colonists versus Britain versus multiple Native American nations, each with their own objectives, strategies, and diplomatic agendas. Ignoring this dimension produces a fundamentally incomplete and misleading historical narrative. Now that we've covered these 7 secret spies operating in plain sight as tradespeople, economic desperation driving desertions, women's tactical command roles, smallpox policy as military strategy, family fissures beyond politics, grassroots propaganda networks, and central Native American diplomacy, what does it all add up to? What's the bigger picture these fragments reveal? Taken together, these diaries tell a profoundly deeper and more complex story than traditional narratives allow. The revolution was messy, intensely local, and thoroughly human. It wasn't driven only by Enlightenment ideology or grand military strategy, but by daily survival choices, personal relationships, informal networks, disease, economic pressure, and the grinding realities of pre-industrial warfare. For historians, diaries are absolute goldmines because they reflect lived experience rather than official narratives. They capture what people actually thought, feared, and prioritized rather than what they were supposed to think according to political rhetoric. They show us the revolution from ground level, where ideology met hunger, where principles confronted disease, and where grand strategy collided with human limitation. For us today, they remind us that large-scale political change always depends fundamentally on ordinary people's actions, choices, and sacrifices. The revolution wasn't won by demigod founders or inevitable historical forces. It was won by tired, hungry, frightened people who kept going despite overwhelming reasons to quit. That's simultaneously more inspiring and more sobering than mythological versions of history. Which of these secrets would you want expanded into a full standalone video? Tell me the number in the comments and I'll seriously consider it for the next deep dive. Also, if you personally own or know the location of a diary from this era, share the source in the comments. I absolutely love primary sources and I'm always looking for new material to explore. If you enjoyed this exploration into the hidden corners of revolutionary history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the follow-up deep dives I'm planning. Like the video if you want more primary source discoveries that challenge what you thought you knew. If you want additional resources, check the link I'll pin in the comments with information about accessing these diaries and source materials yourself. Many are digitized and available online, if you know where to look. Thanks for watching American Revolution Diaries 7. Hidden Secrets Revealed. Next week, I'll unpack one complete diary in full detail and reconstruct a single day on the campaign trail. Spoiler alert, there's a dramatic escape involving a laundry cart and mistaken identity. Until then, keep questioning the official story you were told in school. and I'll see you in the next video.